Ladies and gentlemen, you will remember a little over a year ago in the general election, we voted for the Oahe Water Conservation Sub district. An overwhelming vote was cast in this favor. Enthusiasm ran high. Some of the voting districts had as high as 90%. Beetle County over 80% in favor of it. You will also remember that at the same time, we elected 11 directors to serve on the board and gave them the power to levy taxes up to 1/10 of a mil on the assessed valuation of all taxable property in the district. The board was to take care of all the business and tie up all loose ends left in the organization of the district, and perhaps most important of all, adopt and propose a plan for bringing water from the Missouri River over to the James River Valley. All of this has been done, and we have maps showing the canals and reservoirs and pumping stations of the proposed project. We are now entering the second stage in the gigantic undertaking, and you could call this meeting a beginning of setting the stage for the second act, which will take place at the general election in 1962. We will then decide if we are going to give the Board of Directors the power to enter into contract with the Bureau of Reclamation and the government of the United States for constructing the canals and provide for anything pertaining to the promotion of the district. Also give them the power to levy taxes this time up to 1 mil of the assessed valuation of all taxable property within the district. Water use establishes water rights, meaning if we use 1,000 gallons today, we have established the right to use 1,000 gallons tomorrow. We must show the action in deed that we intend to have that water and that we have a use for it, and then use it. In 1962, all of the areas included in the Oahe Water Conservation Sub district will be one immense election district, and the outcome of the election will depend on all of the popular votes cast by the qualified electors in that district. Therefore, we ask all and every one of you to put your shoulder to the wheel and help us put this thing across. We are all in this together. Should we fail, a lot of time and preparation of raising our state of South Dakota to its rightful place in the State of the Union might be gone forever. We must remember that the allocation of power revenues to be used for building projects of this kind are limited, and if we are to get construction money, it is urgent that we act before the states in the Missouri River Valley lay prior claim to those funds. South Dakota is a good state, and the land is rich, so don't allow selfish interests to sway your ways of thinking. Don't ask, will there be any benefit in this for me? Rather, you should ask, will there be any benefit in this for us? We can assure you there will. There will be benefits both direct and indirect for both you and me and our children, and for generations to come. Whether you be an irrigation farmer or just a farmer, school teacher, businessman, student, laborer, truck driver, or a housewife, it will have a profound influence on all of our lives. We are all in this together. It is something that is bigger than you or I. Now we will present some information to further explain the second phase in connection with the proposed Oahe project. We want you to know the direct and indirect benefits of this project. So the initiating committee of the Beetle County Water Conservancy Board have outlined a few ideas pertaining to this project. Opportunities for young people include greater opportunity in agriculture, industry, wholesale, and retail trades, opportunity to expand with a rapidly growing economy, opportunity for increased and diversified recreation, and a better environment in which to live creates a desire to stay and accept the responsibilities. Agriculture is unlimited. Many different crops can be produced on irrigated soil. Most crops, such as sugar beets, have higher cash value than current crops and are not in surplus. Irrigated feed crops stabilize the feed supply for adjacent dry land operations. Irrigated feeding operations create better markets for such dry land products as feeder cattle and feeder lambs. Higher net earnings will be quite a factor. Irrigation outproduces dry land 13 times on an area basis, making income to individual 40 times greater. In North Platte Valley, 91% of the area income is from 10% of the land area. Irrigated beets in Beetle County have shown net earnings of over $100 per acre. The pounds of beef produced from irrigated crops on the Lloyd Dye farm was 7 times greater than dryland crops. There will be economic stability to towns and cities. Larger and more stable farm population increases stability of towns and cities. Variety of crops requires processing plants located in the towns and cities. Diversification of crops requires more equipment, fertilizers, labor, and other services. Irrigation brings about a steady and growing economy in cities and towns. An assured water supply for both Beetle and Clark counties, and especially for the city of Huron, will prove of great value. Increased tax base and land value will change. Tax revenues in Scottsbluff County, Nebraska, were increased 20 times by virtue of irrigation. Increased production from land will raise its value, providing a broader tax base. New industries and processing plants will increase the tax base, and a larger population will help absorb the tax load. Recharging of the aquifer will be a valuable asset. Increased surface water will recharge underground aquifer. Large reservoirs and canals may replenish underground flow to a certain extent. Water may be diverted directly from canal into wells and aquifer for city and industry. Irrigation uses of water throughout the area will increase recharge to existing aquifer. Developed recreation facilities will attract an increasing number of people. More and larger bodies of water will bring water sports closer to more people. Picnicking, camping, boating, fishing, and additional hunting facilities will attract more tourists. Lake Byron, James River, and other bodies of water will develop into recreational areas. Beetle and Clark counties are fortunate to have these areas nearby. Industrial expansion will be in evidence along many lines. Processes for new crops such as sugar beets and truck crops, expansion of meat packing industry and feed, seed and fertilizer processing and handling plants. Increase in an expansion of equipment and supplies for recreation use, and culvert, tile, and equipment factories will come into this area. Growth in population will show that farms will be smaller, making a larger farm population. Conservative estimates forecast increase of 11,000 farm population and 32,000 non-farm in the area. Opportunities for employment and stabilized farming will attract people in this area. On the 400,000 acre North Platte project, the population equals that of 27 times the same dryland area adjoining. There will be additional livestock feeding. Stabilized feed and livestock supply will bring about more livestock feeding. More feed will be grown and farmers will add to their livestock herds. The availability of feed from nearby irrigated farms will help make cattle feeding a profitable dryland operation. The irrigation farmer and the dryland stock grower can both benefit. Transportation facilities will be expanded and improved. Better truck, rail, and air service will develop to meet the increased needs. Better farm-to-market roads will come with increased agricultural production. Industry will require improved and better facilities. Truck highways will have to improve to handle increased incoming and outgoing freight. Increased annual rainfall deserves consideration. Precipitation is measurably greater in areas of lakes and streams due to evaporation. Transpiration, water given off by plant leaves, is an important source of vapor in the air. Thus, more intensive cultivation by irrigation will help produce more rainfall. In the Holdridge, Nebraska irrigation area, records show an average annual increase of 3 to 4 inches in rainfall. The vast Oahe project, with hundreds of miles of canals, laterals, and large bodies of stored water, will increase rainfall to a very valuable extent to the dryland farmer. Opportunities for employment are incentives. Irrigation farming requires more labor, thereby increasing the opportunity for employment. Industry located throughout the area will require both full and part-time labor. A larger population will need more services, which creates jobs. More opportunities for professional people because of population increase. New businesses will come in. Present businesses will need to expand to meet the demand of an increased population. More wholesalers and retailers are needed to supply an increased population. Professional services will be increased. New service firms and utility outlets will be necessary. For every dollar of new wealth created, $7 is increased, business is realized. Past experiences show that plants for processing will come into the area, such as sugar beets, garden crops, meat, dairy products, seed and feed, fertilizer, and tile. Rural area development will be emphasized because irrigation farming is dynamic. It inspires new growth and new opportunities wherever it is developed. In North Platte Valley, 1,000 acres irrigated supports 134 people. 1,000 acres dry land supports only 5. Underdeveloped areas will benefit from increased job opportunities. Small towns will prosper as suppliers of new goods and services required for a large irrigation development. The overall city and country beautification should be considered. The beauty in a prosperous community is often reflected in its modern, well-kept buildings, yards, and fences. Pride in appearance, neatness, landscaping, paintings, and repairing are too often neglected due to lack of time, lack of funds, or lack of initiative. We are impressed when we see a community with beauty in its general appearance, and will find that the economy of that area is fundamentally the reason. Available water for plants, crops, and trees is basically the answer. Our standard of living is reflected in the things around us. There will be joint benefits to rancher and farmer irrigators. Farmer irrigators will have abundant, stable feed grain crops, which the rancher can buy at a saving in transportation. Stable feed crops will lead to feeding operations, which make a better market for the rancher feeder stock. In North Platte Valley, irrigators raise only 2% of their feeder cattle, 1% of their feeder lambs. Feeder stock are furnished from surrounding areas. The rancher has outlet for feeder stock. Now what about educational improvements regarding churches and schools? Increased tax base and increased population will provide bigger and better churches and schools. Marginal schools may become large enough to offer more and better curriculum. Education of our young people is not limited to school facilities and teaching staff, although we realize that their great importance. Our churches, too, fill a need in a well-rounded education. The society and community in which young people grow and mature can have a very definite bearing on the type of citizen who will carry on the responsibilities of modern living. Crop diversification will provide for a balanced income, improved diets, and will encourage stable economy. Total overall development will show that a stabilized and increased agricultural production every year will stabilize and expand the entire economy. The dynamic growing economy will provide many more opportunities for our young people, particularly our college-trained people. This economy will contribute to the prosperity of everyone, such as the farmer, labor, employer, professional man, technician, and teachers, which all make for a very pleasant place to live.